Welcome back, everybody. Outer Range Season 1 has officially wrapped. The season finale confirmed some theories, but also left us asking even more questions. We're going to cover all the juicy details you might have missed, and try and piece together what exactly is going on at the end of Episode 8. If you're new to my channel, please remember to subscribe. I do breakdowns and theories for movies and TV shows, so if that's the type of content you enjoy, you're in the right place. If you're a fan of sci-fi thrillers, stick around for the end because a new series will be releasing soon that should be right up your alley. From this point, there will be spoilers, so if you're not caught up on Outer Range, please come back after watching episodes 7 and 8. Throughout Outer Range Season 1, the conversation about the series revolved around how the Void's time travel worked, who Autumn really was, and what actually happened to Rebecca. Well, if you've been watching my videos, you may have seen that we predicted the Amy-Autumn connection pretty early on. In fairness, so did half the rest of the internet. This is, however, one of the biggest mysteries still not fully explained. We can't even say with 100% certainty that Amy actually is Autumn because of how episode 8 ended. Although I do believe this to be the case because of the scar and the drawings that Amy was doing, there's almost endless possibilities as to how this theory pieces together due to the time travel mechanics present in Outer Range. The writer has given himself so many different ways he can tie the Amy-Autumn connection together at this point that we just don't have enough information to come up with a plausible theory. There doesn't seem to be any real rules in terms of how the Void works. We know Royal's originally from 1886, and that when he first entered the hole, he re-emerged 82 years later in 1968. However, when Autumn pushes Royal into the Void, he seems to re-emerge only a few years into the future. We never get a real reason for this discrepancy in the time jumps. The other issue here is that Royal should have traveled back in time from Autumn pushing him in, not forwards. It's Royal's third trip into the Void that brings him back in time, or what is for us, the viewers, present time. We get even more evidence of these discrepancies when Sheriff Joy somehow ends up in the past from what we can assume is her first encounter with all this time-traveling madness. We never see Sheriff Joy fall into a void similar to what was on the Abbott Ranch. Also, why did she end up in the past and not the future? There's really only a few ways I can think to explain this. One is the writers intentionally have no rules as to how the time travel in the series works, which I hope is not the case. Or the Void/Oil somehow brings a person to a timeline very specific to that individual. We know that interacting with the Void or its contents can provide visions or transport people forwards and backward in time, but all these events seem to be tailored to the person experiencing it, almost as if the Void brings a person or shows a person things based on their own thoughts and feelings. After Royal shot his dad, he wanted to escape, so the Void brought him to the future, where he came to love his new family, the Abbotts. From that point on, you could argue that all his other interactions with the Void brought him places that would show him his family's future, and at least allow him to try and change things for their benefit. When Billy Tillerson crushed up his dad's rock, he had a vision that Autumn was the leader over all Mother Earth. Something important to note here is the fact that in his vision, he was by Autumn's side. Billy is also very much alive when Royal goes a few years into the future after being pushed into the hole by Autumn. Seeing as Billy's dead in the present timeline, this could mean that the future can be changed, or that we may see another Billy from a different timeline in Season 2. Then we have Sheriff Joy's time travel experience. Her native roots are obviously very important to her. Her wife even mentions that she can't believe that all these white folk are going to vote for her. We also have the scene where Joy is at the Eagle Spirit event with her wife and daughter, which to me seems to be foreshadowing of which time period she ends up in. As Joy is walking through Frank's land, she time travels to a period where her ancestors are hunting a herd of bison, the same herd that later ends up in the present time trampling Autumn. Based on all of this, these time travel situations are specific to the individual, and either the future can be changed, or we somehow get to Royal's vision of the future based on different timeline versions of these characters. If this is the case, then death might not mean a whole lot for the characters in the show, although we probably should have guessed that when Cecilia told Royal that he died in her arms 2 years ago. Even though I really hope it's not the case, Season 2 might even retcon the future Royal saw altogether. Let's move on to the triangle of mystery that is Amy, Perry, and Rebecca. Rebecca shows up and takes Amy with her during the rodeo competition. While everyone, including me, suspected Rebecca's disappearance was related to the Void on the Abbott Ranch, that may not actually be the case. Rebecca tells Amy the reason she was gone was because she needed to hide. It's never explained who she's running and hiding from, though. Could it be that she somehow found out about Royal's past and the Void itself, so she needed to get away from Royal? Perry also seems to suspect Royal having something to do with her disappearance. When Royal is asked about this, he tells Perry no, but Perry then says, "I don't believe you." Personally, I don't believe him either. I think Royal has a much darker past than what us as viewers have been shown. When Perry jumps into the Void, it closes immediately. Because the Abbotts use their land as bail for Perry, his absence explains how they end up losing the ranch in the future Royal saw. However, again, we see Perry in this future, so for whatever reason his name seems to be cleared as he's shown to be standing only a few feet away from Sheriff Joy. Throughout the show, Autumn has been talking to her mom and dad over the phone. This means that there's at least two versions of Perry existing in the current timeline. Or Autumn was raised by different parents. Even though young Amy is with Rebecca currently, there could still be an event that causes her to lose her memory and end up being raised by a new family. This makes sense because if the Abbotts are losing the ranch to the government, then how does Autumn have a trust fund? It would have to be from another family because we know the Abbotts are hurting for money. Perhaps the parents who end up raising her are the owners of the mining company shown in the future Royal Saw. Episode 8 ends with Royal telling Cecilia that he wants to do it all over again so that his family is all together. Normally I would say this is just a figure of speech, but considering the show revolves around time travel, he might actually be able to. I feel like the writers are going to have a real difficult time making this all digestible for the audience. I live for shows like this, and just thinking about it all hurts my brain. That's not to say I don't like the show, but we definitely have some huge unanswered questions. As of May 7th, there's still no news as to whether we'll get a Season 2 for Outer Range, so it's going to be pretty frustrating if it gets cancelled, while there's still so much story to be told. So, fingers crossed for Season 2. But now that Outer Range has ended, you might need a new show to watch. On May 20th, Amazon Prime is going to be releasing a new series called Night Sky. It's a sci-fi thriller about an older couple who have access to a portal to an alien world. Unlike Outer Range, Night Sky will be releasing all its episodes at once. So if you like the genre and also like to binge watch shows, this might be a good one for you. Check the description and watch the trailer. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this content. If I missed anything, please let me know in the comments. And as always, I'll see you on the next one.